Hello, you awesome people. This is Edwards here in the month of May 2016, and welcome to my live webinar, Blogging to Get Famous and Win More Clients. Now, you could be listening to this in my awesome Marketing Vault as an archive recordings, or you could be live on the line tonight. Either way, it's an absolute pleasure having you tuning in. Now, blogging, as you may know, is a very, very close topic to my heart. Blogging has gone incredibly well for me over the years. And it's been one of those marketing strategies I look back on and I feel, wow, it has just done so well for me. And basically, it's this. I have tried hundreds of different things in my business over the years, and I've probably found about 10 of them work really well. And blogging has been one of those tools. It's been one of those tools that I've heard about for years, but I eventually decided to get straight into. Now, let's get straight into the juicy content. This photo here was taken with me 2 years ago, and an awesome man by the name of Suraj Soda. He's actually one of UK's top blogging mentors, and I actually spent some time with him. And he gave me great insights on how to blog, and his insights actually went in to creating my blog to what it is today. So I want to share it all with you and get you started in the right direction. So I know quite a few awesome people on the webinar, and this is my gift to you. I love doing these live webinars, and I just want to say, if you are a client, thank you for tuning in, and I totally appreciate and hope it helps. And if you're not a client, I'd love you to check out my mentoring programs on offer. Or at very least, share my stuff on Facebook. Jump on Facebook and say you're listening to my awesome webinar. Now, it's my job to help you get more clients, more money, and more time. That is what marketing is all about. And blogging, I will be discussing from this viewpoint. As well, just talking as well, I'm giving general educational advice in this webinar. So if you've got any particular questions, please ask me. If you're listening to this in an archive, you can email me. Also, if you're on the line tonight, please ask me questions in real time so I can best give you the advice to set you in the right direction. So for those that know me, my name is Edward Zero. I'm an ex-military, ex-corporate marketing director, and I have been in business for about 5 years now. I'm a big survivalist. I was built for extreme situations and danger, and it makes me a great marketing mentor working the streets of Sydney. I've loved it, worked with hundreds of people over the years, been very lucky to work with some top brands in Sydney, including actually the awesome people at Microsoft and also TAFE New South Wales, right through to awesome small business owners I'm very proud of. Now, let's go back to where it all began. Blogging, we hear about it a lot, but what actually is it? I love telling people this. I actually looked up what blogging meant. Blogging actually means weblog. So when the original nerds, or let's say the US military, the Air Force, actually started the internet, originally, nerds really would put their thoughts online in terms of a log or a web log. It was basically like a diary, so to speak. And as the internet took off, especially early 2000s, the real savvy people realized, oh, I can use the internet to promote myself. I can use blogging as a tool to make myself famous, get myself known, and that type of thing. And as that grew throughout the generations, it has become one of the bread and butter strategies of internet marketing. Now, what's interesting, blogging has always been a hit for me. And just to clarify too, writing a blog doesn't get me 1 million clients. It's never worked that way. But just by blogging consistently and putting it out there, I've had so many new customers and people come into my ecosystem. It's just been phenomenal. And what's interesting, it comes and goes out of the spotlight. So quite often, you won't hear about it, then you'll hear about it. It's one of those key platforms which has just done incredibly well. Now, a few things I always want to cover off on here to really help you with it. I like to think of blogging as really a form of journaling or journalism. So before the internet came out, we would be forever at the mercy of publications to take our stories and put it out there. These days, we can self-publish. We can put our own information on the internet. And it's very good from a small business owner viewpoint, especially if it could be useful for selling technical products, or it could be selling yourself as a personality. So it's very good. I've seen it used effectively for selling people personally, such as myself, selling health products, selling toys. Really, at the end of the day, a blog is a form of creating interest and a following and developing a community. And as people get interested into it, they can become your customers of whatever you're selling or whatever you're doing. Now, this photo here is a great man by the name of Stefan Thomas, or in his language, Stephen Thomas. He's an awesome pal of mine from the United Kingdom. And he actually blogs, and he even wrote the book Business Networking for Dummies in the UK. Now, this guy's very cool. And the reason why I want to sort of mention him, feel free to Google him, Stephen Thomas, great guy. he writes books and writes blogs, and he gets a lot of popularity and fame out of it. And to me, it's a very, very good tool. I just want to acknowledge that awesome, cool guy. Now, in terms of the way that it's benefited me, I have lost count of the amount of clients that have found me through my blog. So I just want to explain how blogs work very quickly in terms of the ecosystem of marketing. So you might hear me talk about the ecosystem of marketing. Basically, what it means is this. You don't just have one platform like Facebook or LinkedIn or blogging that makes you all this money. It doesn't work that way. What happens is your whole marketing works together. So, for example, people very rarely buy something from me without talking to me first. What they'll do is, let's say before buying any of my mentoring programs or whatever, they will talk to me. They want to make sure it's right for them. They've got questions about it. And then, provided it suits them, they'll then go and buy it. Now, what it is, blogging gets people engaged with me, and it gets people into my community. They might sign up to a webinar. They might meet me at an event one day, or they might just send me an email. We have a phone chat and they turn around and hire me. So I just want to explain to you how blogging sort of fits in that regard. So let's say hypothetically you're a financial planner working for a company and they want you to write blogs to put in there, and you put the blog articles in the newsletter to their audience. That's a way of doing it. Or it might be you publishing information on your own blog, or you write cool blog articles so you get found on Google and you like sharing them through LinkedIn and Facebook. There are heaps of possibilities. I just want to go through basically how it's benefited me and just give you some ideas that you can apply to yourself. And of course, awesome friends, please ask questions. I'm going to shoot through this content very quickly, so ask questions so I can help you as much as I can. Now, the thing I want to sort of point out as well is blogging is very good in terms of getting new profitable clients, which is great. I know a lot of you here, for that reason, you want to be famous, you want to get more high value clients, and blogging is an outstanding medium to long-term tool for doing that. It also is great for personal development. So by blogging, it has made me get very savvy and very intelligent. And the other thing that's very important too, people will check out your blog before buying a product or before they hire you. So quite often people will check out my blog before they choose to hire me. And the beauty of that is that they can look at my blog, go through it, they can get a feel for what I'm like, get some great ideas. So when they talk to me, they're already converted. An interesting one, had a new client sign up this morning, which I was very excited about. And this awesome woman who I'm very lucky to be working with, she actually saw me speak at an event once, and she's been following my blog forever. And eventually she decided to email me. We had a phone chat and she signed up with me today. So I was very excited about that. A really cool woman that I'm very excited to be working with. So I just want to point it out there. Blogging is an outstanding tool for getting more high value clients, and it's great for personal development. And here's the psychology of blogging. And I want to get this point across because here is simply how it goes. When you blog effectively, and you blog consistently, I usually recommend once a week. I personally blog once a day, which is an insane workload, but it's my goal to build myself into a full-time online entrepreneur. But for most people, I suggest once a week is great, or even once a fortnight is fantastic. Generally speaking, once a week is a default recommendation to get a really good following over time. Or you might do several times a week. It all depends on your business and how important it is into you and relevant things. Blogging makes you look very powerful, and here is the outcome of it. You write a blog, it's there forever. Be it one person reads it or a million people read it, it is no extra work for you. And you could be selling your own mentoring program such as I do. You could have an online product. You could be driving leads. The possibilities are endless. Now, I want to paint the picture on the different types of blogs out there. And this is the point that I want to make. There is absolutely no right way to write a blog. There are heaps of different ways of doing it. But what I will tell you is a format that completely works that I've followed that has been incredibly good for me. So if you just type in the word blogs, it's insane. There's millions and millions of information. And there's anything from dog food to holidays to wealth building to Christians finding love. You'd be amazed at what's out there. And actually, this screenshot is actually from Darren Hinch's blog some time ago. Now, if you don't know Darren Hinch, he's a Victorian shock jock right-wing broadcaster, who I'm a big fan of, by the way. And he talks about all sorts of topics. He talks about what he's been through. He's even named and shamed criminals in there. He's done all sorts of things. Now, the thing I want to advocate, and this is not in the slides, so you want to really pay attention here, is think about how blogging fits in with your overall architecture, okay? So what do you want to get out of your blog, and how do you want to promote yourself? And a few angles are talking about you, the advice and the skill that you have. So generally speaking, as a default, whenever I recommend blogging, what I suggest is this, right? What I suggest is exactly this. When we're talking about blogging, It's great to give people advice, give them information that improves the quality of life in their business. But at the end of the day, if you're just talking about crap or rubbish, or you're just selling stuff, or you're just talking about banal stuff, you're not going to build a following and you're not going to get people interested. But when you talk about very good topics and give great information, that's where things can very much go your way. So, for example, let's check out mine here. Whenever I write blogs, I'm always thinking, how can I make this as interesting as possible? How can I get as much attention as possible? And how can I keep it as relevant to what I do? So, for example, I've written about, what I do is I do marketing and mentoring and small business. So I tend to try and keep to that as much as possible. Sometimes I've gone a bit off track. I've written about politics too much, and I've sort of gone off track to what I do. So even though it's interesting, some of my articles, not so much anymore, but some of my previous articles had questionable relevance to what I was doing. So what I advocate to you is you got to set a sandbox. You got to work out what you're going to blog and why you're going to make it good. Now, I'll just give you some hints, right? Think about what you do. So you've got the awesome Sophie Feck on the line, and she's from Exclusive Business Sales, and she's a marketing person there, and they sell businesses. They would blog about business improvement, selling businesses, great stories like that. We've got the awesome Peter Van Ness on the line, who's a video person. He might blog about video ideas, video shoots, life of what it's like being a videographer. Basically, you're finding an interesting angle, and it comes down to this. It might sound quite weird. People actually build a relationship with you, but you don't know they're building a relationship with you. So it's just like a journalist in the old days. In the old days, you would have a columnist. You still have them, but they're nowhere near as powerful as they used to be. Columnists, people would hang off their every word. They would develop an affinity and a following for them. Blogging creates you as exactly the same character. And in that whole architecture and what I'm sort of talking about here, it all comes down to this, is getting started, knowing what to write, knowing how to write. Now, my first blogs were very ordinary. But after a while, after a few months, it started sounding very good. And what I generally suggest is weekly is a very good frequency. If you can write a blog once a week on your business, and then, not on your business, but you write a really cool blog once a week, you have it on your website, feel free to look at my website, excellenceabove.com.au, and go to blog, and you can see exactly how I do it. And that's the best way of demonstrating it. You can then take that blog, you can put it in your email newsletter to your database, so it links people back to your website, so they might read the blog, then they might go and buy something or inquire. What you can also do, which I am a real big fan of, is you share it on Facebook, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Twitter, and it achieves a lot of objectives. The other thing that a blog does is it puts more content on your website to help Google find you. So blogging is one of those universal tools which I've loved, which I've absolutely loved. And it's something that I highly recommend. Now, starting out is incredibly hard. It's actually not that hard. It's probably medium difficulty. Learning how to use Facebook is actually harder. But what I will tell you, I'd actually invite you to go check out my blog. It's the fastest way to do it. Go through my blog, read through my articles, and you'll see what I do. And you'll find some blogs this is awesome. And some blogs may not be that relevant to you because it is horses for courses. Now, when I write blog articles, I think this is the best format ever. Whenever you try and sound technical or intelligent, or you want to give people 7 secret tips, it really doesn't work. You got to be genuine. You got to tell people your story. So as I'm doing it, I'm all about telling people my story. Now, this blog here was from the other day. It's the 2016 Western Sydney Awards for Business Excellence. In that case, I'm on the committee for that. And I didn't just promote it, I actually just talked about how it was there, how it was cool, it was a launch, and I invited people to go to the website to book in for it, okay? I've written blogs, tonight I'll be putting the recording of this webinar out through my blog, and people can get to view it, listen to it, and basically it comes down to this. It's about giving away great tips and your insights so you build up a following so people hire you. Now, not many people say it, but I used to. In the earlier days, a lot of people used to say, oh, but I don't want to give away too much for free. I don't want to tell people what I'm thinking. Okay, comes down to this. If you can reveal everything you know about your job through your blog, you probably need to get more skilled. I could blog for 1,000 years, and I'll never get through all the information that I know. And here it comes down to this. At the end of the day, you need to give people a taste of what you're about so they feel you, they understand you, and they really appreciate what you do. And as you get better at that, it makes it all great for everyone, okay? So it is a very, very good strategy. So it comes down to this, my awesome friends. This is 7 tips to write a great article. I think you should keep it natural. Work out your style. Like some people are quite technical in their blogging. You might be talking about technical products or giving technical information. You might be talking about what you're going through. You might be reviewing movies or reviewing products. What you get a lot of bloggers that actually do is, let's say they start up a blog on, dogs or, pet owners, or let's say dog owners, and they sell different products through there, different courses through there. They can work very well. So work out what you want to do with it. And by the way, if you're stuck or anything, ask me a question. I can help answer you in real time tonight or reply to your email if it's afterwards. Use a very sexy header. So have a really cool headline that really grabs attention. Tell a story. I find the more natural I am with it is the better it works. Always reference your product at the end. So what I like doing, you don't have to do it during necessarily, but at the end, it's actually, I've got it set up. So at the end of my blog, it actually has a link to my marketing mentoring. So people can read the article and they can click there and say, get mentored by Ed, then they can learn about it online. 6 is give powerful content. And 7, you want to wrap it up with a tight conclusion and even have a section about the author. Now, basically the way it works is and I recommend having a blog on your website. There's a lot of benefits of doing that compared to having your own standalone blog. Ask me about that if you're interested. Basically what it is that, let's say you're putting out a blog once a week. It's giving tips about what you do, and it's pretty cool, and it's sort of telling your story about the sort of clients you have, the things that you go through, and what you encounter. You make it as interesting as possible. At the end of the article, and this could just be a template on your website, which is pretty easy to set up, is you have a little bio about yourself so people can see you all the time. They can get used to you. They can leave comments, so you can leave comments on my blog, and I can reply and that sort of thing. It works incredibly well, and it's just something I highly recommend, okay? So I'll give you some examples. These are some screenshots that I've taken. This is from the awesome Martha Arafin, who's our trusted web expert and partner. How much time do you spend there? This is actually one of our older articles from last year, and she's actually talking about just her being busy. And in this article, she actually talks about being busy does not equal productivity. It's her actually telling her story. And on the surface, you might think, okay, well, Martha builds websites. She's just writing a blog about productivity. What's that got to do with websites? Well, it's a good point. It's a good counterpoint, just having the debate with myself here. What it comes down to is this, is that even though Martha builds websites and she's not a business coach selling productivity or anything like that, what it does, though, is it shows the natural side of Martha so people develop an affinity for her. So it's like, yeah, I know Martha's a web person, but wow, she's also a pretty cool entrepreneur and business person too. I think I can trust her, and she's going to be my choice in getting a website built. So that's where it becomes pretty well. So I just want to make that point there. You notice on a page as well, this has changed, and this is from an older version of a website, but you got her article. Notice how it's got a good heading, how much time you spend there. It's got a good photo. That's obviously Martha. It's got the text, and on the right, it's got her Facebook panel. Okay, so a lot of different ways you can do it, and it's what I highly recommend. So the next page is one of my old friends from the UK who I should message. It's been a while. His name's Jarrett Davis. Feel free to Google him. He's one of UK's top trading mentors. Very lucky to know him. And this is from some time ago. It does have a date there. No, it's not the date there. This is from last year. And this is Jarrett, who's a currency trader, giving his outlook on what he thinks is going to happen. Okay, so here he's talking about the trading session, what's going on, and what he thinks and how it's going to play out. So again, in this case, Jarrett is not so much talking about himself, but he's giving commentary on what the markets are doing. So you've got a very great example from Martha, more telling her story, and you've got Jarrett, who's a serious high-end currency trader, telling his story about what works. The other thing I also want to point out as well is you really got to think about how you can apply it to yourself. So what can you blog about? What do you love? What do you sell? How can you engage? And how can you give valuable insights? It is a fantastic strategy, and it comes down to making your blog as compelling as possible. Now, in terms of creating and sharing the content, every time you write a blog, there's more content on your website, which makes it stronger and more easily found on Google, which is fantastic. Now, quite often, a lot of people have blogs separate to their website and then they send traffic back to their website. I don't quite agree with that. Generally, what I recommend is, it depends on the objective. Some people are different. Usually, a blog on your website is the way to go because the whole point is bringing people back to your website so they can visit your website, they can appreciate and enjoy it and love it. So I recommend having it for most situations, having it as part of your website. And as a way you can think about it, you write a blog, and then you share that blog on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media platforms you're using. And as people find it, they get pulled back to your website. And while they're on your website, they might buy something. So again, great technique. And as the awesome Martha always says, we talk about your website being your own Westfield shopping mall. And the goal is to put out great content to bring them back to your shopping mall. That makes sense. And even though I've talked about blogging, the logic is very similar for even Facebook video as well, okay? So sharing the content is very important. And the other thing I just want to give is a few honorable mentions, and then I'm going to do a bit of a wrap and go through it. Think about your business and work out the blog in context of your business objectives. So think about what you want to sell. Think about how famous you want to be, how successful you want to be. And the other point I want to talk about as well, when I've used the word famous, that's very important to note. In terms of being famous, I've had famous people look over my blog. In fact, the awesome Di Lee, who's an ex-ABC journalist, she actually discovered me through my blog. And that inspired her to speak to me about being part of her workshops. And that's gone very well for me. So you only need the right person to see your blog to really get engaged with you. So fantastic technique. And you can make a lot of money out of this when you set up correctly. Think through as well the frequency in your sharing. Again, as a default, once a week is great. But you might turn around and say, no, I'm going to do once a day like Edward because it suits you. And it might. I actually love blogging. And now, if you do once a day, that's a very, very gun-ho way of doing it. And if you're a man or a woman on a mission, I highly recommend it. You got to find your perfect style. You got to work out how serious you are. Like Jared Davis blogs are very technical and very serious because he's a currency trader. And Martha's and my blogs give great information in a more approachable, friendly sort of manner. So you want to think about that. Set up a calendar and always write. So if you're going to write once a week, make sure you write once a week, or whatever the case may be. Your early blogs probably won't be that good, and you'll never get it perfect. In fact, I was talking to an old client, staying up again soon actually, and with that awesome client who I have a lot of respect for, got your question, Vicky, I'll answer it shortly. With that awesome client, this client was really frustrated with themselves actually, because they weren't getting anything done. Because what they would do is they would just, I want to get this perfect, I want to get this perfect. And the person was like, oh, I want to get this at least 75% perfect. And the reality is, well, 75% is just an arbitrary number you've made up. You'll never get it perfect. Your early blogs will not be perfect. But as you blog more, you'll get really, really good at it. And we've got an awesome question from Vicky Anderson. Thank you. Hello, Edward. Any chance of expanding on the context of your business objective statement? Exactly. So what I'm getting at is you've got to think about your business and where it fits into everything. So, for example, if you're, let's say, an employee for a company, you might be blogging for your boss or something like that, right? You might be a coach out on your own and you're blogging for yourself. You might be wanting to become a strong online marketer. And because you want to be a strong online marketer, you might choose to blog every day. So you got to think about what you do, who you're doing it for, and you got to think about the audience you're writing it for. So for example, I write for a small business owner and entrepreneur audience, so I'm pretty approachable in my style. Having said that, even for CEOs, you want to keep it as approachable as possible. So I hope that helps, Vicky, but let me know if any more questions. Number 6, just start anyway. It's not brain surgery. If you're a brain surgeon, I advise you to study for 5 years for it. But for blogging, it doesn't work like that. You'll get good at it by doing it more. And you want to make it as compelling and as interesting as possible. So the idea is this. The way I look at things, and especially look at marketing, is I actually don't like selling, believe it or not. What a shock. I like people buying from me. I actually don't like selling to people. So it's my goal to create as much good. So this is the way I look at marketing from this viewpoint. Marketing makes yourself look awesome. It gives people a lot of content. So they knock on your door and they buy straight from you. It's a very, very good way of doing things, which I highly recommend and endorse. So there's just some key tips. And I ask you to get started immediately. So if you're going to do a blog, write one tonight. Do it in Word. If you need to get your blog set up, get your web developer working on it now. Do something now to get the process underway. It is incredibly important. So what I'm going to do is, before I just go through the end and talk about some of the ways I can help you if I'm not already, I'm actually going to go back a little bit. I'm just going to do a quick wrap. I actually just want to go through and just do a quick wrap of what we've gone over, just to help set you on the zone. And while I'm doing this wrap, I want you to ask me a question. So at the end of the day, we're talking about blogging to help you get more clients, more money, and more time. Blogging actually stands for weblog, which became blog, which I think is pretty cool. It really took off at the early stages of the internet. I'll say early 2000s, might have been a little bit earlier, but I'll put out that. It's definitely in vogue right now, and it is a proven long-term marketing technique. It can make you famous because people follow you. I roughly have 500 loyal people that follow my blog every month, plus I have thousands that come and go on it. So it's a very, very powerful strategy from that viewpoint. So it's something I highly recommend. I have lost count of the amount of clients. I lost count over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, from how many clients I get through blogging. And remember, it is part of your ecosystem. It makes you look awesome, and it proves that you're the authority leader, and it helps you do it very well. And remember, once you do a blog, it is there for good. So it's something I highly recommend. Type in the word blogs. There's heaps of different blogs out there. You can learn all sorts of great things. And a blog ultimately is a great article stash that people can use. And as I was saying before, people will go through your blog before they hire you. It's very, very common. It's not hard. It's moderately hard getting started at the start. I think using Facebook was hard, learning how to use that platform. Now, expert at it. But when I started out with blogging, it was a little bit medium hard to start. Wasn't that bad. You want to have really good examples. You want to write some really good content to share out there. And please check out my blog. Make sure it's natural, you like it, it's interesting, tell your story, give powerful content, but at the end of the day, put your name on it. You're the author of this blog. Check out Martha's blog. Just go to our website, trustedwebexpert.com.au. You can see her blog. It's very good. Check out Jared Davis. Just Google his name. He's very good as well. And start doing it yourself. That is the way to go. And remember, I recommend having a blog on your website. That's usually the way I do it, unless there's a really good reason not to. And just as a few honorable mentions as well. Work out the blog in the context of your business. I like a frequency of once a week. Find your styles. Get a calendar. Early blogs will suck a bit, but don't worry, you'll get good at it. But just start anyway and make it as compelling as possible and get started. So there you go, awesome friends. So I'm just going to go through a few things to wrap up the webinar in terms of how I can help you. But if you've got any questions, please ask. And I'll love to take them and I can go back. So anyway, while you're typing out your questions, awesome friends, if you're not a client already, I invite you to check out my awesome Marketing Vault mentoring program. It's just $97 a month. And what it does, it gives you access to my online Awesome Marketing Vault by Edward Zir. It has over 10 core modules of top sales and marketing strategies and great ideas and guides and downloads on anything from Facebook to LinkedIn to sales to business networking, and it'll help you get more clients, earn more money, and get more time. You also get access to my secret Facebook group and community, access to live webinar Q&A, which we can do at the end, and also direct email access to me, so you can learn at your own pace, study the tools, and you can email me whenever you like. So please go to my website, Excellence Above, to learn more about how it does. Now I've got some questions. Joe's put her hand up. Thank you, Joe. Feel free to type in your question, Joe, and I'd love to answer it. I got an awesome question from Sophie. Edward, how long should your let's start again. Edward, how long should your blog post be? And does the length of the blog post tend to vary based on the topic you've raised? I'll actually say it's pretty standard. Usually, I don't recommend going past 500 words when you're writing a blog. Now, in some of my older blogs, I've actually had some blogs which are actually 2,500 words. But it was more me telling my story. I was more getting into my writing and getting into it. I generally recommend don't go past 500 words. I personally aim for about 300 words. So if you said to me, Ed, what's the right answer? 300 words. 400 words is okay. Don't go past 500, but 300 is really, really good. So I'd really stick to that one. Oh, great. Glad that's a question, Joe. So if you check out my blog, some of them are quite short. I generally don't go under 250 words because it starts looking a little bit cheap. 300, 500, can't go wrong. Check out my blog, and what you can do as well, if you just tag the text and copy it into Word, you can just do the word count on the number of words that I'm using, so you can even just check it that way, get some information. So I hope that helps. Also as well, I suppose as well, Sophie, it can vary from topic to topic. If you're doing a technical blog, which is reviewing a product, you might even go up to 1,000 words because you might have 7 dot points you're going through. So I'll say up to 1,000 for a technical blog, but on average, 300 or 500. Does vary, and you'll figure out what's best. So awesome, Sophie. Thank you for your question. Awesome, Peter. Hi, Edward. Great webinar. Thank you, Peter. You're awesome. Are there any blog plugins or software you can recommend in terms of Google search optimization? Oh, now you're testing me. I have my agency set it up. Oh, you're testing me. What I have in my blog is I've got an SEO plugin. So look at the SEO plugins for WordPress. So my website's built on WordPress. It starts with Y. It's just slipping me, but there's this SEO plugin, and what it does is that it actually gives you green lights based on the wording you're using, based on certain keywords, to tell you whether it's actually optimized correctly or not. Okay. So generally speaking, though, when it comes to Google search optimization, I used to get really caught up on the words that I'd use in my blogs and that sort of thing. I actually don't care anymore, and I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, I'm writing blogs on small business sales and marketing. As long as I write on that topic, the word small business and marketing will appear a lot in what I do, and that'll get automatically picked up on Google. One issue is when you start trying to write blogs just to appease Google, and I've been there, it destroys your creativity because you're sort of like, oh, well, I have to say the word small business marketing mentor 4 times to make it appear on Google. It makes it a bit mechanical. So generally speaking, there are a lot of SEO plugins that you can use, and they're very easy to install in WordPress, but I wouldn't get too involved with that. At the end of the day, if you're writing about your topic, now I know you, Awesome Peter, and you're a videographer. If you're writing about video, yeah, it'll help. You'll get picked up on Google, so it'll be fine. So hope that helps, Peter, but feel free to ask me any questions. Great question. Oh, great question from Vicky Anderson. Edward, is there a difference between a blog and an article? Thanks, Ed. No. No, none at all in my mind. No, technically there is a difference. An article, okay, I'm getting very, the answer is, in practical terms, I don't think there's any difference between a blog and an article. A blog is a format of an article. So technically speaking, this is my understanding without jumping on Wikipedia, technically speaking, an article is just a short story written about a topic. That's actually what an article is. It's a short story written about a topic, generally by a journalist. Good to check that on Wikipedia, see how accurate I am. But that's what I see an article as. A blog is just a form of expressing articles. Vicky's laughing at me. She'll probably jump on Wikipedia now and go, no, Ed, you got it wrong. An article means this. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But no, in all seriousness, an article is generally a short story written on a given topic, and generally it comes from the magazine sort of print days. A blog is just, an article is the content posted as a web blog, which means it's a blog. So for practical purposes, I see it as exactly the same thing. So good question. In fact, you had to get me think on that one. After this, I'm going to jump on Wikipedia and define article. In fact, I'm going to do it now. There you go. You challenged the intellectual in me. Awesome, Vicky. So stand by. Stand by. I'm going to type in article into Wikipedia. See if I got that right. There you go. I just can't help it, Vicky. Article, publishing. Oh, here we go. An article is a written work published in print or electronic medium. It may be for the purpose of propagating news, research results, academic analysis, or debates. Okay, written work. Okay, I think my definition was better than Wikipedia. There you go. We covered that one, so thank you. Hey, yeah, you rock, Vicky. Pleasure. Glad I could help. You tested me intellectually. Love your work. That's good. That's good. We should have coffee sometime, Vicky. You're awesome. Okay, Joe. Where's my pal, Joe Williams? Here. I've often tried blogs which oh yeah, it's a good call. What Joe's made a great point. What Joe has said here is saying, look, I've often looked at blogs that are too wordy, and do you find people are too time poor to read? Absolutely. That's why I'm sort of nervous going above 400 words. The moment a blog article goes above 400 words, I start getting very nervous. You might do it as the exception, not the rule, such as a technical review, but yeah, don't go past 400 words because at the end of the day, people want to skim it, they want to read it. If it's something really important, then they'll spend a lot of time going through it. But great question, Joe. I love the way you think. So very, very, very awesome. That's good. Any more questions? Awesome, friends. No more questions. Okay, well, make sure you check out if you're not a client of mine yet, I want you to be a client because A, I will help you get more clients, make more money, and succeed and grow and prosper. And I'd love to help you. That'll be awesome. And also I make money out of it too. But my goal is to make money while helping you make way more money and success, which is what I'm all about. And I've helped some of my clients make a lot of money and do really, really well. So I'd love to help you guys on that one too. Anyway, the details are there. Check out my website, Enough Hard Selling. If you've got any more questions, I'm just going to wrap this thing up and wish you all a good evening. I just want to thank a few different games and people. I want to thank 2K Games, Star Trek, Eric Cartman, Fallout, Martha Arafin, Gordon Ramsay, basically a bunch of people that I've borrowed content from to use in my presentation. So really appreciate it. Very, very thankful. As I say, thank you from Edward Zier. I'm going to hit stop on the recording any moment. If you're a client, you want to stay back and ask me questions, please do so. Otherwise, feel free to have a great evening. And also, as well, feel free to like and share my stuff on Facebook. I really appreciate it and getting my name out there. I love your work, awesome friends. Thanks for coming. Looks like we've had a fantastic evening. So I'm going to hit stop recording. Take care, awesome friends. Have a great evening. You know where to find me. And happy blogging. Get it.